Welcome back, everybody, to the Joe Lee podcast. I'm your host, Joe, and welcome once again to the AEW Dynamite review for May 25th, the Go Home Show 2022. The Double or Nothing Go Home Show, to be more specific. And yeah, we had another solid show by AEW. I didn't know exactly where kind of everything was gonna be placed, but yeah, I mean, you can see the card behind me for the most part. Yeah, and then you got Punk and Hangman confrontation before the pay-per-view. So yeah, we got a lot of really exciting things to go over, and yeah, should be a good one today. Nothing really. Oh, actually, there's two things that happen on Rampage, and they're kind of significant to Double or Not. Actually, three. So basically, we got Daniel Bryan got his leg stuck, and man, that thing went on Twitter. Twitter was on fire because people were thinking, "Oh, is Bryan injured?" And it was crazy because in the back of my head, the first initial thought was, "Oh, is he okay?" Because that looked like it shouldn't have happened. And, people were saying, "Oh, he's going to be out. We're not going to get him at Forbidden Door. He's going to miss the G1 climax." And yeah, again, the initial thought was, "Oh, he might be injured. This is bad for him and his health." And then my wrestling fantasy booking person kicked in and was like, "So we're not getting Okada and Danielson at Forbidden Door, eh?" And luckily, AEW actually posted the footage on their YouTube page because I guess they had run out of time. So their time management for that week was just off by a lot. But yeah, they posted a full clip on YouTube, and if you look at it, you can tell that everything's fine because you can see Danielson getting stuck, and then Bryce Remsburg goes and checks up on Danielson, and Danielson gets in his ear and tells him that he's fine. I don't know if this is a fact, but I'm assuming this is what happened. He got stuck. Bryce Remsburg went to check on him. He said he was okay. Then he brought him in and tried to tell him to work it because he goes into Danielson twice. And so then Remsburg goes to Jake Hager, and then he says something in his ear, and then Hager goes and tries stomping on the stuck leg of Danielson. So things seem to be fine. I'm pretty sure his leg got stuck, and maybe he got frightened or something at the initial, or maybe it hurt a little, but I highly doubt that he got injured at all. People on Twitter were saying when it initially came out that his leg was stuck in there for 20 minutes, which was not the case at all. It was stuck in there maybe 2 minutes tops. So yeah, so nothing huge per se. The other thing we got a confirmation for the match that people are anticipating, which was the Young Bucks versus the Hardys at Double or Nothing. That match is going to be awesome. Is it going to be crazy like some of their stuff before the Hardys went to WWE? I don't think so. Hardys are much older now, much more injury prone. After the whole scare where Matt Hardy fell pretty hard at one of the pay-per-views. I don't know, something involving Sammy Guevara. I doubt that they're going to do anything crazy. They limited Jeff Hardy for doing crazy stuff for about 10 minutes. They do 1 or 2 spots max. So I don't think it's going to be super crazy at Double or Nothing, but yeah, it should be good. I'm going to try to give my predictions for Double or Nothing as we go. If I miss something, apologies. It's not my intention. This is not a preview and predictions. It's a Dynamite review or trying to catch up with stuff from the week. The women's tournament, it's going to be Chris Statlander, and I have it in my notes somewhere around here. Chris won her match, and then let me see, who else was it? Oh, and Ruby Soho won her match. So now next Rampage we'll get Statlander versus Soho. Winner faces the winner of Toni Storm and DMD. So that is what was scheduled. So yeah. Besides that, there was really nothing else worth of note on Rampage. So yeah, let's get started with this review. All right, MJF steel cage match. Wardlow versus Shawn Spears in a, like I said, steel cage match, and MJF is the special referee. If Wardlow wins this match, he actually gets to face MJF at Double or Nothing, and then whoever wins that match, if Wardlow wins that match, he gets out of his contract. So if he loses, he has to. Oh, he's not allowed to sign with AEW ever again. So Spears jumps. MJF comes out in custom ref gear, and it has like instead of like the solid black stripes, it has like the black borders, but inside there's like a graphic of the scarf that MJF typically wears. Shawn Spears comes out with a mask that looks like kind of like a Punisher mask, but with like a Canadian logo at the top. Not exactly sure if this is referencing to something else specifically. If I'm messing up, let me know in the comments like what mask he was wearing, because I've never seen him wear a mask like that. Maybe it's a dark thing, maybe not. I don't know. Yeah, so he comes out with the mask and he brings out two chairs at the same time. So he's sitting in one and he's using the other one kind of like as a flex, I guess, flexing a weapon. AW replays the 10 lashes and the C4. Wardlow comes out. Okay, then Wardlow comes out with no music. He's escorted by, the typical security that we've been seeing the last couple weeks. And the crowd has loud chants of Wardlow. So, yeah, that was the introductions. Match starts. Spears jumps Wardlow before the cuffs can be taken off. MJF kind of holds back Spears. I had pushes over here, and that confused me. Yeah, so he holds down Spears after the jump attack, only for him to then attack Wardlow himself. So MJF attacks Wardlow. Spear charges at Wardlow, but then is once again pushed off by MJF, and then MJF goes in for like a scratch on Wardlow's face. They double tackle Wardlow while he's in between the ropes. The crowd boos. Wardlow is in the center of the ring, but then Wardlow gets a toss-up on Spears. So he overhead tosses him up. MJF taunts Wardlow and then spits in his face. And then this gets Wardlow so angry that he got spit in the face that he actually ends up breaking the cuffs without the key. Then he sends Spears into the cage twice. Spears attempts to escape the cage by climbing out, but then is brought down by Wardlow. Wardlow then hits a Swanton bomb, and then goes for the cover, but MJF kind of goes like this, like he's laying down on the ring, and he doesn't even count at all for Wardlow. MJF continues to taunt Wardlow. But then he just walks away because he doesn't want to hit MJF. Wardlow goes for the Symphony Powerbomb, but is kicked in the in-betweens by MJF. This lets Spears hit the C4, but this only nets him a 2 count. Spears walks out of the cage and gets a chair. We're going to talk about this in a bit. MJF sets up Wardlow, and then so he's holding him. So he's holding him down, MJF. And then Spears swings the chair back and then goes forward, but then Wardlow moves out of the way and he decks MJF, and MJF sold it beautifully. It was like he passed out at the contact with the chair. Wardlow seen rising up on the back of Spears. Just great camera work. I've noticed that they're getting a lot better with it, and I do really appreciate trying to step up the quality of the camera work. Then he hits several Symphony Power Bombs on Spears. There's no one to count, so Bryce Remsburg comes out, and Wardlow sets up the chair, the one that has the special Shawn Spears logo on it, and then hits the Symphony Power Bomb again, and then goes for his signature pin where he flexes and puts his tongue out. Um, Wardlow then has a chance to powerbomb MJF, but the security all like come flooding in, and he like starts punching them one by one, and they just fall. It's like it was kind of like a GIF on repeat for the most part. Then, oh my goodness, like because he couldn't get MJF, the last security guard, he just throws the man through on the cage, and he throws him so violently that the cage is actually pushed out enough for the security guy to slide in between the ring apron and the cage. And oh man, that was nasty. You couldn't pay me enough to take a slam like that from Wardlow. That was nasty. Okay, before we move on to the next thing, I do want to say there's only one thing that bugged me about this match, and it was that Spears tried to escape the cage by climbing it. Okay? I don't have a problem with that. Escaping cages is a thing we see on television all the time. What I don't like is that the cage door is open. I've always hated that spot. It doesn't matter if there's a rule that prevents you from winning if you escape the cage anyways. I just don't like the idea of the door being open because it kind of takes away from the fact that there's a steel cage. Yes, okay, they used it pretty effectively. You know, Wardlow threw Spears on the cage wall several times. But a cage is supposed to keep everyone in. And that's always been like my mentality is like the cages have to keep everyone inside of the ring. No one should be able to go out. And I get it. MJF has the key. He left it unlocked. But please, like in a 2-on-1 situation, you would think, hey, I'm just going to lock the cage. I mean, there's two of us, one of him. What is he going to do? So I just kind of thought that was a bit dumb. So yeah. JAS say that they are violent and they will show sports entertainment can bring the violence. They see Jon Moxley fan, and then Chris Jericho throws his fireball and says that he is the wizard. Now, initially I was thinking, you know what? This is kind of stupid. Like, this is something we would see in WWE. And then it clicked. Like, I don't know why it clicked today. But it clicked in my head that he's trying to be like one of those guys in WWE, like just kind of gimmicky, like cringy things that you would see in like other television shows. So it was funny, you know. I'm starting to understand the gimmick. It's not always for me, but it's still funny. Once you start seeing it as a parody, it really brings stuff into context again. All right. That was it. There wasn't much else to it. CM Punk and Adam Page come out. They're both cheered. CM Punk got quite a bit of boos. I don't know why. CM Punk is great. Tony Schiavone asks what their thoughts are on both of them hitting each other's finisher moves. No one really answers because Schiavone has the mic because he's in the middle. Schiavone asks if Punk is ready to be the world champion. Punk says it is he has had his biggest moments of his career right here in Las Vegas, talking about the time that he won the WWE Championship against John Cena, not directly saying it but implying it, and that he loves the fans and that he will walk as champion. Tony asks Hangman how confident he is. Hangman says that there's nothing that CM Punk can do to take the championship away from him. Punk asks why he takes this match so personally, and Hangman says he wanted to embarrass CM Punk, and he wanted to light a pipe bomb on Punk. Fans start to chant CM Punk. I don't know why. This was Hangman's segment. And then Hangman says that he can't light that pipe bomb. He says that he wants to say is exactly what Punk would have said years ago. But that's exactly what he wants. Hangman says that it's not about just being the champion in the ring, but the small moments outside of the ring that make you the champion. He says that AEW is his home and that at Double or Nothing he won't just defeat the champion. He is defending. I'm sorry, he's not defending the championship. He is defending the whole company from CM Punk. Punk says that the reason Page is here is due to his blueprint. Punk says that he will shake his hand. And then, CM Punk continues to just kind of try and like push him to shake his hand, but he pushes a little too much. And this causes Page to punch Punk in the mouth. And he falls and he's like checking himself and he's like seeing, whoa, why did this guy punch me? And then like kind of clicked on his head. I don't know. It's weird because I feel like we're finally getting more into the strides of this feud, and the Double or Nothing's already next weekend, and it's like, oh man, if we could have just built upon why he's so angry, like a little more, I kind of see where it's going. There's like a growing sentiment, and there was a rumor I read on Twitter that people are not unsatisfied with their booking, but like they're worried that there's like too many WWE guys in the locker room. And again, rumor, nothing. There's no like solid evidence of this. But could it be that they're playing off of that, I guess, rumor a little bit, or that online sentiment that there's a lot of WWE guys, and Hangman Adam Page being like the OG guy for AEW. I mean, he was in the first main event and he lost, and then they built him up and now he's the champion. And then you have Punk, who's just been here like we're almost a year now, I think. Maybe it's like 3/4 of a year, but yeah, 3/4 of a year, and like he's now like at the main event. I mean, CM Punk is CM Punk. I can't deny that, but it feels like there's some sort of disgruntlement that Hangman is facing Punk like so early, while Hangman had to work really hard for that. And I feel like that's something I wish they leaned more into. A lot of it is implied in this promo, and I like it, but I wish that I wish they did this a lot earlier and then built it up into that. Obviously, sometimes you don't have to say things directly to the audience, and implying it is the best, but I feel like in this case, it would have driven it a lot further home if they, talked more about it, made it more like shocking to the audience, because not everyone understands some of the subtleties that maybe wrestling fans pick up, especially like for casual people. So, yeah, good promo here by Hangman Adam Page. Now, the match at Double or Nothing, Punk versus Hangman. I've been hearing a lot of people say maybe Hangman wins it, and at first I was thinking, no, I'm sorry, that Punk would win it. And then in my head I'm like, no, I think Adam Page deserves a more continuous reign, a face dropping into a face. It can happen. I mean, it's a sport. We're trying to get the most out of the sport feel here, but I do feel like maybe extend Page's reign and then have him drop it to MJF, because I think the best story is MJF versus Adam Hangman Page. But then we've also been building Punk up, so do we build him up just to like put Hangman over? I feel like Hangman hit his peak when he beat Kenny, so maybe this reinvigorates his peak. Maybe this proves more that he's like a better champion. But I could see it going both ways. You extend the reign, and then maybe Page drops it to MJF at the end of the year, or we get CM Punk now, and then at the end of the year it's MJF. But either way I could see. Either way, I think MJF is champion near or a little past beginning of 2023. So yeah, should be good. That match is gonna be great. I think that's a great way to like leave the audience. There's a lot of matches at Double or Nothing, but I think that's gonna be one of the better ones. Okay, Mox and Kingston versus Private Party. William Regal joins in on commentary. Jericho says to cut the music and says that Vegas doesn't have what it takes to sing Judas as Jericho walks into commentary booth. Kingston charges Cassidy as Quinn is struck in the corner. Mox punches him about like 12 times, and then Mox bites his forehead. Mox sends Quinn to the corner, but Quinn gets his boot up and follows it up with a moonsault for a 2 count. Mox manages to get a chokehold and tags Eddie Kingston in, and they both strike Quinn. Eddie then proceeds to powerbomb him and goes for a over-the-shoulder hip toss. Mox sends Eddie into the corner. I'm sorry. Quinn sends Eddie into the corner, and then Mox looks for a slam, but Quinn hits a Pele kick and gets a tag. He tags in Cassidy. Private Party gets some tag team combos in on Mox, but Mox hits a suplex. Then we go to commercials. When we return, Cassidy hits some elbows on Mox and then looks for a tag for Quinn. Quinn runs the ropes and gets a tope and then hits a tope con hilo. Cassidy rolls in Mox and hits a top rope stunner. Quinn gets a 4-star press only to get a 2 count. Private Party look for the silly string, but Mox counters it, and both Mox and Kingston get locks on Private Party, similar to the Blackpool Combat Club has been doing for a couple weeks now. And then Mox hits the paradigm shift for a 3 count. Post-match, JAS charge the Blackpool Combat Club and Santana and Ortiz. And JS charge Blackpool Combat Club, and then Santana, Ortiz, and Bryan come out to help Mox and Kingston. Run-of-the-mill match here. I think nothing like too crazy in terms of storyline progression or anything like that. So, it was just like a go-home match. I think this might be like the lowest match of the night, and that's a good thing, because like it was still good, like regardless. Nothing exciting, just good. Nothing to write home about, but it shows how strong these last 2 weeks have been. That this is like the weakest match, and it's just still just a good like 2.5 stars type of match. Really shows that the booking has been pretty solid recently. ROH Tag Team Championship match. Roppongi Vice versus FTR. Cash is in the ring. A match starts and Cash is the one in the ring. Rocky Romero goes for a side kicks to the leg, and then they get an elbow and arm tie up. They reverse. They try to get like several different like lock holds on each other, and they reverse out of each other. They run the ropes, and Rocky gets a tackle in. He then kicks FTR, and then run the ropes again. Rocky dodges a drop kick and then goes for a pin, only to get a 2. Rocky gets a flying cross arm breaker, and then Cash retreats. Cash tags in Dax, and then Rocky tags in Beretta. They run the ropes, and Dax tackles Beretta. They run it again, and Beretta chops Dax into the corner. They exchange chops, and then Dax takes down Beretta, and then they like Beretta tags in Rocky Romero. There's like a roll-up situation that happens in the match, and this causes a blind tag, and Beretta gets in a half-and-half suplex. There we go. As Rocky becomes the legal man, and then we like go to commercials. When we return, Cash gets out of the corner and looks for the tag. Dax strikes both Roppongi Vice, and sends Beretta into the corner for a sternum first. Dax hits the 3 amigos, but Beretta holds the ropes. Beretta gets a suplex and tags in Rocky for a atomic dropkick, or atomico. I think that's because it was originally a Mexican move. Roppongi Vice gets a tag and goes for the double knees. They get several kicks in, and they only get a 2 count off of these. They look for strong 0, but then FTR get a roll up for 2. Beretta looks for the victory roll. I'm sorry, that's Hiromu. That's best of Super Juniors, and gets a 2 count. Roppongi Vice gets a strong 0, and then United Empire from New Japan Pro Wrestling actually come out. This is Jeff Cobb and Great Okan. Those are the guys who came out. No, relax. Ospreay will be here in due time. I believe he's injured, out injured right now. Not actual injury. I think it's just a medical situation. So yeah, United Empire attack both FTR and Roppongi Vice. The match is thrown out. I don't believe it's a. It might be just a DQ, but they said that they threw the match out. So basically, it's almost like it never happened. Oh yeah, so then United Empire attacks FTR and Roppongi Vice. United Empire throw Dax through the announcer's table, and they also powerbomb Beretta through a table as well. One of these was a botched table, and it looked kind of nasty. So yeah, go back and watch that if you would like. Good tag match between these two. Surprisingly, a lot of chemistry considering that these teams, I don't believe they've ever faced each other. So yeah. Backstage segment. Matt Hardy talks about humble beginnings and having great upbringings. That's things that the Young Bucks shared in common, but that's about where they end. They say that the roads of those times were a lot tougher, and that only the Hardys would have been able to make it, and that the Young Bucks couldn't have because it was a different time. Matt Hardy talks about the Young Bucks also being clones of the Hardys, and then Jeff says that for him, this is a fresh new start in AEW, and it is also the beginning of the end, implying that they will retire at the end of their AEW run. And that they want to end the journey being acknowledged as the greatest tag team of all time, and also being the AEW tag team champions. They say Matt says, they say don't meet your heroes, and not because they will be a disappointment, but for the Bucks, it will be because the Young Bucks will be disappointed that they can't beat their heroes. So good promo by Matt. And, there was a part where he said, like, oh, we don't do drugs, we don't drink, we don't do any of that. But Jeff has a history of bad behavior. let's just leave it at that. So it's a little tone deaf, in my opinion, or kind of an insult to your fans to, like, try to pass it off as, Jeff never does anything. And it's not that I'm saying, that you have to, like, fake it. Just don't mention it. Say something else. Just a minor nitpick. I'm not trying to, like, harp on the Hardys promo too much. Other than that, good promo by Matt Hardy. I do think that the Hardys are one of the greatest tag teams in the world. I personally have recency bias. I've been watching Young Bucks since I was a young teenager. So to me, they're the greatest tag team ever. So obviously, Bullet Club for life. So yeah, I think at the end of the run, it'll be a little hard to say, that the Hardys are not the best tag team in the world if they do win the championships. Other than that, I think they'll still be like one of the greatest. Okay, a match that I was personally looking forward to: Jungle Boy versus Ricky Starks versus Swerve Scott. Starks match starts, and then Starks rolls out of the ring immediately, and then so then Jungle Boy and Swerve are left alone, and they try to, like, shake hands, and then Stark pushes Swerve into Jungle Boy. Starks tries to roll up Jungle Boy, and then Swerve, off of the kickoff, he, like, kind of nips up, and then Swerve tries to roll up Jungle Boy as well. Swerve gets a head scissors on Stark. Jungle Boy walks the ropes, but on Swerve, but then Swerve gets Jungle Boy off, and then he, like, gets him on his shoulders to, like, do, like, some sort of move, but then, like, he like pushes him over his head, and then he does a Hurricane Rana on Ricky Starks, which was crazy. Then then he runs the ropes and hits a drop kick on Swerve. He then runs the ropes again, but Starks sends him into the corner. Swerve looks for a rope, a tope con giro, and dodges it, and we go to commercials. When we return, Starks and Swerves are on the apron. Jungle Boy strikes Starks down and then hits a Hurricane Rana on Swerve. He hits a blindside elbow for the pin, but it's broken up by Starks. Jungle Boy hits a Samoan drop on Starks for a 2 count. Swerve sends Jungle Boy into the corner and elevates Jungle Boy to the top of the ropes. Starks climbs up the ropes and lays hands on both of them, but both Starks and Jungle Boy, Swerve and Jungle Boy push him off. Jungle Boy hits a Poison Rana on Swerve, and holy cow, like Swerve lands on his feet. That was super impressive. Stark kicks Swerve, and then Jungle Boy hits a super kick and suplexes Swerve down. That hits a Michinoku driver on Jungle Boy for the 2, and then Starks beats up Swerve and looks for the Rochambeau. Swerve reverses it into palm strikes onto Stark, then turns it into an uppercut, and Starks ends up poking Swerve's eyes to get out of it, and then hits the Rochambeau. Jungle Boy gets the STF on Starks, but gets a rope break, and then Jungle Boy pushes back, and he pulls his leg back, and then gets the STF back on. Swerve kicks Jungle Boy and hits the Swerve Stomp from the top of the ropes to get the win. So, good match by these guys. I don't think it went on too long, and it shouldn't have. I mean, these guys are going to have pretty much like a war on Sunday because there's three teams. So, yeah, I mean, not anything like too crazy, but it was pretty good. Like, I'd say this was match of the night. I think it even beat out Wardlow versus Shawn Spears in the steel cage match. So, if you got to watch one match here, I suggest watching this one. Post-match, Hobbs comes out and lays out Swerve and Jungle Boy. Luchasaurus comes out as well and tries to get the chokeslam, and the camera cuts away. Keith Lee music hits, and it's the only one that hit, which I found weird. Again, one of those things where, like, why is he walking slow, and why is his music playing when there's, like, a situation going on in the ring? But again, mistakes in wrestling happen. And then all 3 big men face off. Hobbs attacks Lee and Luchasaurus, but then Luchasaurus strikes Hobbs out of the ring. They both roll out, and then they both go near towards the ramp, the outside part of near the ramp. And then Keith Lee winds up and hits a tornillo on Luchasaurus and Hobbs, which was impressive. I mean, the man's doing like Super Junior moves out here while being like 300 plus pounds. I mean, crazy. All right. Backstage segment. Dan Lambert announces Scorpio Sky will get a new custom TNT title. And he says that this will happen before Sammy and Tay can do any more obscenities on the current TNT championship. That was it. Tony Schiavone introduces Thunder Rosa. Rosa comes out in an awesome like red cowboy outfit. I mean, you couldn't see anything like past like pretty much where I'm at. That's all you could see. So it looked like she was in full cowboy suit. She wasn't. But what we could see, cool outfit, gotta say. Rosa says she has worked hard and never complained. She says Serena is not championship material because she complains too much. Crowd chants Thunder Rosa. Rosa says Deeb is doubting herself and says that she used to look up to her, but not anymore. On Sunday, Rosa will bring the war paint, and that La Mera Mera will get her payback for Tony Schiavone, Dustin Rhodes, and the crowd, again from what happened last week. And that on Sunday she will defeat and haunt Deeb forever. It sounded like Hunt is what she was saying, which wouldn't have made sense, but Haunt makes more sense in the context of the promo. Again, I wish we would have gotten more out of this feud because they're both great wrestlers and I think the match will be good. But it seems like the build has been like to a minimum. I mean, Rosa, I believe, did not have any matches to lead up to this feud. I don't know if she's injured. I don't know if they're keeping her off television for any particular reason. I know they got the tournament going on and that's a busy thing, but I still don't understand why we didn't get matches with Thunder Rosa at all for the build of this. I mean, straight out of the Nyla Rose thing, we did not have any matches at all, which I think is a huge mistake. Thunder Rosa deserves to be on television. I mean, almost every week. She doesn't have to wrestle every week, but I mean, just treat her the same way as you treat Hangman Adam Page. I mean, he's on television almost every week. Thunder Rosa deserves to be on television every week. Please get that done. Semifinals of the Owen Hart tournament. Dr. Britt Baker, DMD versus Toni Storm. DMD comes out and you could see she's telling Hater and Rebel to stay back. Obviously because of what the stuff Toni Storm's been saying about her needing her girls for the win. Arm and elbow tie up. Toni gets a wrist lock, and then DMD gets her own wrist lock in, and then Toni gets her wrist lock back in. The crowd is somewhat split. They're both chanting DMD and Let's Go Toni. Toni gets a side headlock in, and then they both get up and they lock up, and DMD gets the takedown, but Toni turns it into a headlock using her legs. DMD gets a rope break, and then Toni gets a basement drop kick, and they both end up going to the outside. They both roll out. It's not like he hit her and they somehow ended up on the outside. Toni sends DMD into the ring post and tries to slam DMD on the apron. Britt ends up hitting Toni against the ring and tries to roll her in, but Toni strikes her way out. They continue exchanging these strikes, but then Britt slams Toni up against the steps, and this takes us into commercial. When we return, Toni and Britt are striking each other in the ring. Britt goes for the Pittsburgh Sunrise, which is just the Panama Sunrise, but Toni gets swinging DDT. Toni riles up the crowd and gets a hip attack in the corner. Looks for Storm Zero, not to be confused with Strong Zero. Into the air raid crash. Hater comes out and is talking to DMD. I don't know what they're saying. And then Toni uses this to try to get a roll up, but only gets a 2 count. And then DMD gets a twisting neck breaker for 2. Britt goes for a discus lariat, and then Toni Toni dodges it, and then hits a release German suplex. Britt rolls out, and then Toni follows and hits a DDT and rolls her back in. Hater distracts Toni, and Toni hits a forearm on Hater. DMD looks for the super kick and misses. Then Britt hits an air raid crash and then transitions into a pin. And then she ends up like holding the ropes, and the ref is like I guess if I was like this, the ref would be like right here, and then she so the ref can't see it. So she holds the ropes, gets the 3 count. She is going to the finals of the Owen Hart tournament, and yeah, it was interesting. I didn't think that was going to be the outcome. Britt will either face Chris Statlander or Ruby Soho, and that match will take place on Rampage. Not a fan here of the outcome. I think Toni Storm should have won. I know there's a lot of people complaining about, again, like there being like way too many ex-WWE guys, and girls. But I just don't see, like, if you're doing good booking, that to me personally is all I care for. Like, obviously I care for like people who have been doing their dues, but look at Serena Deeb. She's done her dues, and she is going to be in the match for the women's championship this week. Same thing with I mean, Chris Statlander, not well. I guess she originally wasn't supposed to be in the tournament. Now she's in the semifinals. But Ruby Soho has also done her part. I mean, I know that she only signed maybe like less than a year ago, but I mean, the women's division is one of those things where like we just need more people in it, or more women in it. So it's like, come on, man, you can't be picking a bone about wanting a deeper division, and then picking a bone about wanting people to win. I mean, Hater's still learning, so I don't see the complaint about Toni winning then. And I think Toni should have won now, and then maybe she loses to Ruby Soho. As you can see, I already have my prediction, which is, Ruby Soho is going to win on Rampage because Chris Statlander was never meant to be in the tournament, and they do not book on the fly. So I think even at the beginning of the tournament, they already knew who was going to win. So it's looking like it's going to be Soho or Britt. I got Soho because I think she's kind of deserved this. She's done a lot of dark matches. She's done a lot of like kind of smaller things. And her whole story about losing a lot at the beginning from transitioning from one company to another. I think it's Soho's time. I think she's going to win on Sunday. Obviously, subject to change. I mean, on Friday, this could be pointless and Chris Statlander won her match. But that's just my opinion. Semifinals of the Owen Hart Memorial Tournament, Samoa Joe versus Kyle O'Reilly. Winner will face Adam Cole at Double or Nothing for the finals of the tournament. O'Reilly feels Joe out, but then Kyle hits him with like some strikes. Joe overpowers Kyle, and then Kyle gets a takedown. But again, Joe seems to be able to like kind of overpower his way out of the takedown. Joe backs out, and then Kyle tries to get a lockup again. Kyle gets chopped down, and Joe just stares at O'Reilly. It's like it's not phasing him at all. Joe continues with the strikes and punches and body slams Kyle into the ground. Then kicks Kyle and hits a senton for a 2 count. Joe continues the strikes and suplexes Kyle into the mat. Joe runs the ropes, but Kyle hits a knee strike off of Joe's momentum. Kyle hits several knees and punches on Joe, and after a while, the strikes force Joe to get up, and then Joe gets an elbow in on Kyle's face, and then Kyle actually gets a dragon screw on the ropes on Joe, hits a knee on the face of Joe, and then gets a 2 count, and quickly looks for the cross arm breaker, and this takes us into commercials. When we return, Kyle is striking Joe near the corner. The crowd starts the Joe chants that Joe is gonna kill you, or just Joe, Joe, Joe. But Joe uses his way to strike the knee of O'Reilly. Joe gets a kick into a senton for a 2 count, and then O'Reilly runs the ropes, and Joe hits a lariat and still only gets a 2 count. Joe, with several palm strikes, looks for the muscle buster, and Kyle escapes for a transitions it into a Fujiwara armbar, but Joe gets a rope break. Kyle kicks Joe in the midsection, but Joe gets several right hands in. Kyle gets a kick, and Joe gets a knee strike. Kyle bounces off the ropes, looks for a lariat, but Joe hits an enziguri, which, wow. I mean, that's a big man trying to hit an enziguri, and he does. He does it pretty well. Kyle gets a basement drop kick, and then winds up, and then ends up just rolling up Joe. But Joe transitions into a rear naked choke. Kyle tries to escape it, but he ends up fading. And then, yeah, he gets the win here. He will face Adam Cole at Double or Nothing. Good match. They got plenty of time, actually. Was it better than the triple threat that we saw earlier? I don't think so, but it was a good, solid match. I mean, O'Reilly, he's definitely going to be a main event player here in a couple years. But yeah, I did like his work in the tournament. And now we're getting some takeover style matches here on Sunday. So it's starting to feel more and more like NXT. That's a good thing. I mean, that black and gold NXT was awesome. And I can't wait to see more of these guys. So we're going to get Joe and Adam Cole at the final. I mean, Adam Cole comes out, but they were just kind of like smack talking each other inaudibly. We couldn't hear anything. So yeah, I'm excited for Double or Nothing this Sunday. We're gonna have that review on Sunday, possibly Monday morning, because I think we're gonna have some friends over to watch the show, and yeah, that should be good. I'm excited for it. There's gonna be a lot of cool matches. I'll try to put the card right here. So yeah, content coming up. I know I've been slacking on the Best of the Super Juniors. There's just been a lot going on. I had to take some family and friends to the airport on Monday. Tuesday I was wiped out, and now finally I was able to get a review in. So I think we're gonna skip a couple of days Best of Super Juniors, but I'm gonna try to resume it on the last day for both A and B block. So yeah, if you want to watch that, I have Best of Super Juniors old reviews somewhere here on the screen. And yeah, for Joseph Yanez, this has been Joe's Wrestling Podcast. I will see you Sunday.